Hi, everyone, and welcome to Sundays in Song. I'm so pleased to have Charles Shadle here. Charles is our composer in residence this year for the 2025-2026 season. Charles has written us a marvelous set of evening canticles, a setting of the Magnificat and Nunc Dimittis that will be premiering at our seventh annual Recital in Evensong for Indigenous Peoples Day this coming Sunday, October 12th. Thanks so much for joining us, Charles.
Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure to be here and to get to talk about this project that we're working on together.
Absolutely. It's been great to get to know you over the past several years. We've gotten to perform your Preces and Responses, which is a setting of prayers that's often sung at Evensong. And we've also gotten to hear a set of variations that you wrote for guitar last year. And so it's great that we've now been able to bring a new piece into the world that you've written, being our composer in residence this year. Can you talk to us a little bit about what it's like setting this piece? Not just in general, but also this is not the first time that you've set this text. And so what was it like setting it this time?
Well, it's sort of interesting when you come back to a text that's very familiar and that you've set before. I mean, I think I had a goal to do some things differently, right? And one of the things that you've allowed me to do is to explore the possibility of setting the Gloria Patri part of the texts in Choctaw, right? And so I wanted the piece to feel Choctaw throughout. So for me, it's not just the Gloria, but there are all of these tunes that are present in the piece, and a lot of them we hear sort of first in the organ,
Mhm.
and they sort of play with little sets of pentatonic notes. They're used in ways that don't stay pentatonic, right? But I was thinking of music from the Choctaw tradition, particularly the Choctaw hymn tradition, which is very important to me. So I was trying to make a sense of Choctawness within a piece that at the same time is part of the sort of grand Anglican tradition of the evening canticles. And they're texts that for me are really kind of ripe with this sort of wonderful everyday mysticism,
Mhm.
right? I mean, the Magnificat itself, it's sort of like, a young woman having this unbelievable experience and sort of talking about that. And then, with the Nunc, it's sort of like an old man having this unbelievable experience. So there's this whole kind of sense of the spectrum of human life. And I sort of wanted to imagine that in a sort of indigenous kind of Choctaw worldview. Whether we've done that, we'll see. We'll let the congregation decide if that is the case. But that was my hope for the piece.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense. And having now started to dive into it with the choir, it's been really cool to see this harmonic language that you've created, which does start, as you described, with these pentatonic melodies, but then frequently has these shifts that are reminiscent of composers in that Anglican tradition of evensong writing. And it's exciting to hear, oh, here's this chromatic shift that's coming up. And it really does bring into focus, I love the way that you phrased it, this idea of everyday mysticism, of this, particularly with this prayer that we hear so often, this canticle that we hear so often as part of the evensong service, that allows us to enter into a space that is very much worldly and otherworldly at the same time. And so these layered meanings that you put on top of it, I think reflect that experience well. So I found that very cool to dive into.
Yeah, and for me, I know the piece in a way is sort of complicated because any individual chord in the thing is quite a straightforward, old-fashioned harmony usually, but the way they move from each other is complicated and sort of new. And that's a little bit related to how I think about the Choctaw experience. And I think it's how many Native American people feel that experience is that the story is a complicated one, right? And we don't want to be too simple-minded in how we tell the story. And in this case, I felt that that sort of lined up with with the liturgical or biblical kind of content of the texts in a way that felt to me sort of, at least personally, revitalizing when I was returning to these texts.
I think that makes perfect sense. And it's always exciting for us as singers to dive into a new language. I have certainly pushed the bounds of what some of our singers are used to. We've done some things in Old English and in Gaelic and in Swedish, and also this year will include Choctaw as we have before, as well as Cherokee. Um, what was this like in terms of was there a not necessarily a translation process just in terms of words, but in terms of thinking about the ethos of the piece as as you're interpolating Choctaw language and Choctaw phrases into this piece?
Well, it's sort of interesting because there was not a Choctaw translation of the Gloria Patri, which surprised me, right? Because it's in the back of the Methodist hymnal. Uh, it sort of trickles down into other non sort of Anglican traditions, but so there was not an actual translation of it. So the language department of the Choctaw Nation was kind enough to actually translate the text into Choctaw. So it will have never been heard in this form before, right? So I'm sort of excited about that. I think it may be a work in progress. I think
Mhm.
when we hear it, it may be that some of the way it's accented isn't exactly right. And listening to people speak and pronounce it is sort of one thing. Many of the words are familiar from the Choctaw hymn tradition, but they're accented in different ways in different hymns. So it's sort of starting from scratch, right? Within a sort of liturgical, quote unquote, art music tradition, this hasn't happened before, to the best of my knowledge. So I think we're inventing as we go, and we'll have to see, sort of how we feel about it.
Well, that's something that we love to do at St. David's. We love to explore new ideas and new things, and we love to do that with wonderful artistic partners like yourself. We're so glad that you're going to be able to be a part of this this coming Sunday, and we're looking forward to giving the world premiere of this new set of evening canticles with never before heard Choctaw translation in it. And we thank you so much for the work that you've done in the past and on this piece and going forward. Thanks so much, Charles, for joining us.
Well, thank you. It's an enormous honor to work with the community at St. David's. Um, you are a remarkable group of people doing remarkable things, and I'm so happy to have been able to be a part of this process. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Charles.